Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yamin of Revolution, Karmeo Anthony update, media lies exposed. But before we get into that, y'all be sure to wipe y'all feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all.
That those who just joined. So let's go and cue up this news clip, ladies and gentlemen. Let's cue this up. And let's hear about your boy Austin Metcalf, and you tell me about. And this is the guy that these people were defending. Let's go.
Carmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school. And in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
Oh, where do we start? Oh, Lord, where do we start? Now, did you hear the last part? Wanted to talk about bringing a firearm to school. Everything I heard was, let me summarize it, kind of like an AI summary. What I heard was a rabid anti-black racist who's sitting up here spray painting KKK and Hitler and all this other mess. Just a rabid anti-black racist, a violent anti-black racist.
They're not talking about that. That's why I dropped the video this morning. Anytime we talk about from now on the Carmelo Anthony case and Austin Metcalf, we got to bring up that Austin Metcalf is a Holocaust denier. He's anti-Semitic. He praised Hitler. He sides with Hamas. He doesn't believe Israel has a right to exist. Why the media not talking about that? The man doesn't think Israel has a right to exist. He's siding with Hamas. He laughing at October the 7th. He's a Holocaust denier. That's what they got to put when they bring up Austin Metcalf to show the hypocrisy in the media. I thought y'all didn't like Holocaust deniers. I thought y'all didn't like people who praise Hitler. I thought you liked people who was against the Jews. Anybody against us, they down with them.
A coward who attacked girls, right? A bully who picks on people. Of course, saying the N-word. He was a menace to the school. That's why he was being suspended all over the place. He was a menace. And you folks was trying to crown him as just such a good guy. And oh my God, Karmeo is just a savage. Oh, look what he did. Look, it's amazing how, listen, anytime, and I've seen this so many times, anytime I see them just coming out supporting somebody, I'm always going to wonder, I don't think that's one of the good ones that they should be supporting. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't really support the good ones. And listen, you know who really got that rabbit hole started? The old silly daddy. When that fool came out saying watermelon felon, the moment that he said that, I say, oh boy. I say, okay. And then listen, I've been the one telling you that they know the N-word by the age of 2. Now, why do I say that? Around the age of 2, they start talking. The reason why they know that word, not because they were born with that in their head. No, nobody is. But they say that mess so much around those children that they end up saying it, whether it's the direct parents or other family members, somebody in their community saying it around these children. And you know how some people like to hear children cuss, and so they try to make them cuss and get them to say it so they can laugh, hee hee ha ha. Oh, you heard that child say it, which is despicable. They do the same thing about the N-word too. They say it in front of them, and then they want them to say it so they can laugh about it. But what I said about that old daddy of theirs, I said, see, what a lot of you do in that community of yours, you may not would have took it that far, like your son did. You may not been one to spray KKK on a wall. You may not been one to walk around saying the N-word in public. You may say it all day in your house, but you didn't say it in public. But when you're teaching your kids this mess, you don't know if that kid gonna take it to the next level and act on everything you taught them. So let's call it what it is. It's their daddy fault. Why part of the reason why he not here. Now, of course, Austin made his own choices. But instead of teaching your kid right from wrong, instead of trying to blame the black man or the black community for the source of your problems because you failed, you are a failure. You failed all over the place. You literally handed a rich $1 trillion country, literally, that you didn't even build. All you had to do was maintain it, and you couldn't do that. America has went to hell in a handbasket, is in debt upon debt because you ruined everything. If you had actually got along with the black man and black woman of America, if you wasn't trying to import all these foreigners into this country to undermine the black man and black woman's progress in America, this country would be still on top. It's just a cultural thing. Black people working jobs. Let's ship all the manufacturing to China. Let's ship it to Vietnam. Now the Chinese is above you. Every time you try to undercut the black man and woman, it always falls. You always mess up. It's like my grandfather said: when you dig a ditch for somebody else, you gonna fall in it. And that's exactly what's happening to them in that culture of theirs. They falling right in it. Their greatest friend was the black man and black woman. And we don't want to hear no talk of it anyway now. Them days are done. We don't want to hear that. Go do you over there. Now, let's you know how I like to do it. Let's take our time. Let's slow walk this. I'm looking up and I'm thinking a little bit. Let's start it back up. I love this. And before I get started, I'm going to be talking to actually a lot of the black people tonight. I'm talking about those of you who got on these podcasts, those of you sitting up here making videos all over social media demonizing Carmelo Anthony, right? He defended himself from a rabid, violent, anti-black racist. That's what he defended himself from. This guy had got in trouble with the law. Carmelo had no trouble with the law. Let's cue this back up because we're going to take our time.
Carmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation.
Listen to what they did. It's not the vandalism part. It's what they were spray painting.
Salute social. That
is considered hate crimes. And we all know this. But if they would have did this on a certain, I'm going to say 2 different communities in this country, maybe it would have been a little different. But this is Texas. Well, definitely one community for sure. The other community, maybe not. But they only got probation when something had been a hate crime. That was a hate crime. And yet, see, I told y'all, they commit so many crimes in this country, but because they all clicked up with each other, they get away with it. They get slaps on the wrist. So when they tell you, oh, blacks commit all these crimes, no. It's not that blacks commit all these crimes. Y'all commit more crime, way more crime. You are the crime leader in America. You are. But you'll get convicted because y'all cover for each other. And this is why it is great black people have delineated, because you have to also delineate from this system, because you also uphold the system too. And this system is made to run in darkness. See, what the grassroots do is shine a light on that darkness. And as long as that darkness is not being challenged with the light, they can get away with whatever they want to get. Look at the situation with Nolan Wells. They scurrying over there. Why? Because the light is shining on that spot. And all that dirt they like to do it in darkness. When that light come on, that truth come on, they can't handle that. Because they were so upfront and righteous, it'd be too easy just to hand evidence over. It's too easy to do everything. Like the more and more you go along, the more and more you looking guilty. And all the black people that's been unalived in Mississippi and Alabama and all these different places and quickly say they did it to themselves or whatever, say hurry up and close the case, they all in on it. And I said that before, from the cops to the medical examiner to the prosecutors, judges, they all in on it. No different than back in the day when you watch some civil rights movies and you see all them same people all on part of the Klan. It's the same thing today. Nothing has changed. Nothing about that culture has changed at all. It is not progressive. Well, let's continue. Let's continue.
Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism."
Okay, so spray painting KKK and Nazi stuff. Okay, that's just being dumb. That's vandalism. Not maybe you were some sort of graffiti artist or something. They caught you or something like that. Not nothing like that. That somebody say, well, yeah, it's kind of messed up, but it looked good. No, not that. No, hate crime. You call it it's just some vandalism. Oh boy. Okay. All right.
There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school. And in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018.
All right. So he used racial slurs and bullied a black kid. Now, take that in consideration. Carmelo Anthony shows up and he's underneath the tent, right? This is a rabid, violent, anti-black racist. He's coming to do, that's why he put hands on him. Now you understand why Austin Metcalf put hands on him, because he was already like this in his life. He did not like black people. So he saw Carmelo and went after Carmelo. But that day it did end like he thought it was going to end that day. And that's why I tell you, anybody, leave people alone. You don't know what's going on with a person. You don't know what they got on them. Leave people alone. See, when your anti-black hatred leads you to do things like this, not all black people going to sit up there and take it. I won't let everybody know that. Not all black people going to take your racism. Some black people going to just go it on and crash out on you. And they don't care about it. Some people really don't care. Some people like jail. But they hid all this anti-black racism because it'd be hard for the jury to defend it. It'd be very hard. So you say he was defending himself against an anti-black racist, and that's how he approached him, because look at his background, how he said racial slurs, how he attacked black people, how he's spray playing the Klan and all this stuff on the wall, and he got arrested and he did probation. Clearly, this kid is an anti-black racist, and Karmeo Anthony had to defend himself against a rabid, violent white supremacist. That's why that prosecutor didn't want that out. I love the era we live in, because at one point in time, if this was the 1980s, Karmeo had just been stuck up a creek somewhere. If this was the 90s, same thing. But in this era, this digital era, with cameras, social media, grassroots pressure, because you didn't have that kind of pressure unless it was a march or an uprising like the 92 riots or something like that. It has to be an uprising for them to kind of get it. You don't have to do no uprising anymore. You don't have to do that. You could just keep the pressure on them. You could just look at what they're saying. You could research it. You could look for video or whatever. And the crazy part is, which is even more, which y'all don't understand the beauty of, we have AI. So really they can take something they're saying and say, hey, cross-reference what they just said. Tell me all the cases related to this. Tell me this, tell me that. And if you know how to do it right, prompt right, and do all that and get the right links and resources to go look and see and verify. Of course, verify what AI is telling you. Please verify. But we have AI now, which is, to me, one of the greatest inventions ever for black people, in my opinion. You may not think so. Some of you look at it as, oh, it's displacement. It's going to do this to people. Man, every new technology do something to people. I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at the good it can solve. I'm looking at so much good. It fact checks them in real time. They can't lie like they used to. We don't believe nothing anyway they say. So Karmeo Anthony defended himself. And see, when we talked about it can't be no two standards in America, it can't be a standard for them where they can just defend themselves for anything, right? But a black person that's truly in fear of their life from a rabid anti-black racist, okay, but he gets 35 years? No, it can't be like that. It can't be like that. And what Ron to say? That's why I watch. Listen to AD&C and listen to Rutherford, Demetra, Emma, and Vicky, and the others. Okay, we appreciate that. And then Lisa says, "Thank you for all your wonderful work." Look, we just doing what we feel we need to do. But to the black people that was out here making videos, Stephen A. Smith, because you were one of the loudest ones, right? How do you feel now, Stephen A? Stephen A, are you going to make a video now on your podcast, brother? Now. Austin situation that came out. Are you going to go back and talk about this? Stephen A, y'all go ahead on and let Stephen A know that, hey, Stephen A, we waiting on that podcast, brother. Waiting on it. Listen, we are not going to defend a black person that's doing something wrong. We're not going to do that. I'm sure they're not going to defend a black person that did just. If Karmeo Anthony was out here just doing some wrong things, I wouldn't defend it. But we knew something wasn't right because one thing, we know our people. We know our people. And we know a black person is not going to just go do something to a white person like that. We know that's just not going to happen. We know. So I say, what position was he put in for him to do this? Y'all was up here demonizing, oh, what they did with the money and this and that and the third and the money. Yeah, y'all gave all kind of money to Chud the Builder. Oh boy, Chud the Builder. Oh boy. He wasn't around here saying that another anti-black racist running around that day. Notice that's all who they want to support. They give millions of dollars and all kind of money to those who are anti-black racists. That other Shiloh Hendricks woman that gave her a bunch of money. But I said before, y'all notice they never raise that kind of money for white Americans who have cancer and need treatment. They never raise that kind of money for white Americans who don't have health insurance in the hospital and they want to donate money in one of these white rural areas so they can go to the doctors and the hospitals or whatever so they don't get bad treatment. Notice they never get together to give money to any white Americans. They give all this money to Daniel Penny. They unalive Jordan Neely. They give him millions of dollars. But they won't go focus on white Americans who's homeless right now, who need to be in a shelter, who need a place to stay. They won't raise millions of dollars for those white Americans. I'm not telling them to go give us nothing. Go do that for your own. Only time you want to raise millions of dollars is for some anti-black racist. It lets you know that you don't love white people. You claim that you are a white nationalist, but you don't love white people. You only love savagery. You don't love white people, because if you love white people, you will raise millions of dollars for white children. If you love white people, you complain about all this immigration into Europe. Well, why don't you go into Europe then? Why don't you go back to your homeland of Europe and build it up? Because remember, you fled. You talk about all these immigrants. You was the original fleer. You fled Europe. A lot of your people stayed behind. They didn't flee. They're still in Europe fighting for it. Why don't you go over there and fight for it? You talking about all these different people in this country and what Jake Lang say the other day, it's a white country. No. Europe is white. Go over there. But see, you can't even build that up without the immigrants, because that's why they're coming over there, because you can't build it up. What about all the poor white kids in Eastern Europe? There's a lot of them. You're not trying to help those poor white kids, but you're a white nationalist? What kind of white nationalist is that? That they don't help white people? Am I the only one that maybe think like that? Or could I be wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. But that's a sorry white nationalist to me if you don't love white people. And the only time you care about them unless they harm a black person. Then you care about them. Then you give them so much money they never seen in their life. And then that money ruins those people. Because most of these people you help giving this money to are poor people. And if a poor person get a major influx of cash like that, they can literally harm them, literally. You set a precedent, well, in order to get a bag, I got to go be racist toward black people. So now you're seeing these little copycat streamers doing the exact same thing Chud was doing. But here's the thing. Chud was smart to where he did it at, though. Chud didn't go in the heart of Memphis and try that. He noticed they don't go to the quote unquote hood and go holler at street dudes with all that N-word talk. They don't do that. They stay on these little other areas. They're not big and bad like talking about. Yeah, you're right. They love destruction. They only want to support degenerates. They do not want to support elderly white people who's in nursing homes and going to get put out because of the cut to Medicare and all that, because of Trump's big, beautiful bill. They're not trying to help those white people. They got rural hospitals that's shutting down in white areas. These rural areas are white areas. They're not raising millions of dollars to keep the hospital open for their people. No. They rather go give Daniel Penny money and Shiloh Hendricks money, and they rather give Chud the Builder money. They'll do all kind of things just so you could be a rabid white supremacist and a degenerate. Well, boy, I'm so glad. God, I'm so glad I'm part of the culture. I'm so glad I am part of this culture. I'm so glad to be who you made me to be. Thank you, Father, for doing that. I'm happy to be a foundational Black American. I'm very happy that you did not put me in that culture. So listen, you start really peeling back the onion layers. That's a lot of mental health. Deep mental health issues. psychosis. It's a whole lot of things you can go into with that, right? And it doesn't get better; it just get passed down. Austin Metcalf that wasn't raised in the 1950s and 40s. Austin Metcalf was in a modern era, and yet they will not let that go because I told you, when you pass something down to your children, that's culture you're passing down. So how is it that Austin Metcalf is acting like and speaking just like his ancestors from the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s? Austin Metcalf wasn't around segregation, Jim Crow. He wasn't around slavery. He wasn't around any of it. But yet he speaks in the same tongue as the people of his lineage. Why? Because when I told you, it's not racism, it's culture. Let's cue this back up.
While still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach.
You know who that sounds just like? Your boy Kyle Rittenhouse. He was doing the same thing. What is it y'all attacking girls? You cowards. You're going to punch a girl in the stomach, really? That says a lot about you. But that's who y'all wanted to support, folks. That's who you wanted to support. A coward that punch girls and knock girls to the ground. My Lord. Y'all. We don't have to do nothing. All we got to do is sit back and watch the Lord work. We don't have to do nothing. Everything is unraveling on its own. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to do no uprising. Everybody is getting their comeuppance right now. I mean, everybody who have forsaked us. Notice they getting their comeuppance. All of them. We living in a beautiful era. Oh, we're living in a beautiful era, brothers and sisters. Yes, you're right. It's cultural and spiritual. You say they are their ancestors. You doggone right. Yes, they are. Now let's go ahead and continue here real quick.
He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids."
He was kicked out of a football game and he was violent and wanted to go harm other children. But this is the guy, Fox News, that y'all are bigging up every day. Oh, he's such a victim. Sound like he was a public menace, a criminal. See, when we support people, notice they aren't doing things like this when we support people. Let's continue.
At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF."
So now he wants to, just because somebody's talking, right? And they have a right to, whether you like it or not. His response was basically to unalive the person. So think about it. This is the guy that approached Carmelo Anthony, Fox News. This is the guy that approached Carmelo Anthony, that guy. Who has a history of violence, who attack girls, who attack black people, say racial slurs, in line with spraying the Klan, and all kinds of things he's doing, Nazi stuff. This is that guy at Fox News, and all you shucking and jiving shines, bootlicking to defend Austin Metcalf. That what you defending? That's what you defending. Okay. All right.
During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 revealed that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity.
So he disrespects authority. Come on, folks. Law and order, right? That's who y'all are. Law and order. That's not order. He disrespected his teachers. He called them the B word and all that to a teacher who's trying to educate him. So let's recap. He spray paints vile, Nazi, anti-black things, Klan, all the other things. He says the N-word. He bullies other black people. He attacks girls. He physically assaults girls. When somebody just talking, his reaction is to unalive them. If teachers get on to him and say something, he calls them out their name and everything. This is the guy y'all defending. Especially you on Fox News. This is the guy y'all defending? Okay. All right.
He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth.
He could. Oh, that's that classic. I can never take responsibility. I don't know what happened. It just came out of my mouth. No, it didn't come out of your mouth. You formulated the words and you said it. But one thing that the folks don't like to do is take personal responsibility for their actions and hold each other accountable. It's always somebody else's fault. Prime example, I can't get a job because black people getting them. Affirmative action. I can't get a job because the immigrant. It's always somebody else's fault when you lazy. Sorry, you're just lazy. It's always somebody else's fault when you do something or you don't do something. It's everybody else's fault. You never take responsibility for what you do or what you don't do. They go into school doing what they normally do, Connor and them do, air it out. Got to say it a little certain way. Well, he had a mental health aspect. His dog died, and he was sad that that his favorite comic book movie went off the air, and they called him weird in school, and it's everybody else's fault. Not that he chose to go do what he did. It's everybody else's fault. Oh boy. Hey, like I said, when you just take your time with this stuff, y'all, and slow walk it, you really see how deep it is and how this is dangerous for just a society. I told you, this country will never know peace as long as they run it. I promise you. Denise down there, yes, they always blaming us, of course, because they don't take personal responsibility for their actions. They try to, everything they say we are, that's who they are, right? Black people, they all want the welfare and food stamps. They just lazy, XYZ. And then we had that government shutdown. Who was the one in the food bank lines? Was it black people? Hell no. It was them. According to them, we the lazy ones. We don't want to work. That's why we getting welfare and food stamps. And, you remember that? Like, ooh, they going to cut off the food stamps. Ooh, black people. Ooh, you in trouble, black people. And then who was in trouble? I remember the pandemic. They were like, ooh, them Africans. Excuse me. Ooh, them Africans over there. Oh, man, this is going to be devastating for them. Then when the pandemic got started, it was 10 Europe up. And they were, I never forget that article I covered. I think it was France 24. Said, how is it that people in the African continent, they ain't even hardly getting it? And they not, if they are, it's barely affecting them. And then they, when they start getting it? When they from Europe start going down there. And that's why they went on ahead and start locking it down in the African continent and say, nobody coming in here. I'm not making it up. I've covered all these stories. You can go look up exactly what I'm talking about. I would go another area with this, but I know these platforms, I can't say certain things, at least on these platforms. But let me say it like this. We wouldn't have a mass rush to do the CARES Act and anything else if it only affected us. Trust me, if it only affected us and it didn't affect them, trust me, it would have been nothing would have happened. But because it mostly affected them more than anybody, I'm not saying we didn't affect us, but it affected them a whole lot more. That's why they were throwing the kitchen sink at everything. Don't even get me talking about Haiti. You know, if they want to go there about Haiti, they told the president, hey, well, you need to do what we're doing over here. And the president, you know, I got to say it a certain way. And President Jovenel like, nah, we cool. We got our own way of handling it. We you know, we locking down. We got our own way of handling it. Don't worry about it. We got it. And all the way up to that man was his life was taken. And I remember covering it. They only had 26 people during the whole time of the pandemic till they took that man's life, passed away of that virus. And the same thing, they couldn't figure it out. And they kept saying like, well, he don't even have, you know, what we doing over here. You know what I'm talking about? He don't even have what we doing over here. And he don't even want it over there. Who's another one? President Magufuli in Tanzania. He like, yeah, we cool. And then all of a sudden, he got mysteriously unalive too. Wicked. But that's a conversation of another day. Conversation of another day. But that's all right, brothers and sisters. I told y'all before, we are living in the final hour. We're living in the final hour of white supremacy. And it's a good hour to live in. It's a good hour. Listen, always stand up for what's right. Be against sin and unrighteousness always, no matter if you are ridiculed for it, if you're not popular for it, because in the end, and always in the end, the long run, you always gonna come out on top. You'll be richly blessed for you not taking the wiles of the devil. Trust me on this. Don't take the shortcut. Take the route that you know is right. Trust me, you know what's right in your heart. You ain't got to go to nobody to church to know that. You know what's right in your heart, especially as a black person. We are the most closest to God you can have. Even when we do wrong, we know we're wrong. We know we're wrong. We know. And we figure it out. Do we have some ways to go? Yes, we do. As a people, yes, we do. We definitely got a way to go. But you know what? We gonna come out on top because listen, we were put at the bottom, and that wasn't because we were lazy or shiftless or whatever. No, that was done by design. And now, we're rising up now, and they are descending. And you know, some people want it to be a fast thing, but no, you know, a slow descent is worse than a fast one, because at least a fast one you can kind of, you know, you can really rationalize it. But when you have a slow descent and you literally see it happening and you can't do nothing about it because it's moving slow, it's worse than a quick descent. It's kind of like a person having a long-term illness that's painful, that sort of thing, and they want to go, but they can't. No, it won't. That's the same thing about the fall. Just like that person would be in the hospital suffering for years with the illness, it's the same thing with their fall. But, you know, keep supporting sin and unrighteousness, and you will be shown every time. Let me tell you something. We are always going to be on the right side of history, because you got to understand, we are the moral authority of this country. We are the cultural leader of this country, and we are the spiritual leader of this country, period. And every time you forsake us, that's like with your bare foot, you kicking a bush full of thorns, spike thorns. I never forget that tree I saw in South Africa that had them thorns on it. I mean, it's like that long, and them spikes are so sharp. Oh my God, I've never seen a tree like that before, right? Well, that's like if you, every time you try to do something to us, that's what you're doing. You kicking that thorn barefoot. You're gonna hurt yourself more by kicking that than we're trying to harm us in the end. You've done everything to us, and yet we've multiplied. You've done everything to us with all this, you try to throw all these different, I got to be careful what I'm about to say. You just done a whole lot of things to try to stifle our population. Y'all can fill in the blanks. Multiple ways, mass incarceration, different lifestyles that you pushed in our community, pushed a lot of that in jail to create those environments in jail. You've done a whole lot. But in spite of all that, we have multiplied. You know the story about Margaret Sanger. You put Planned Parenthood and all that stuff in our community specifically to try to stifle our population. And what ended up happening? It started hurting your population more. That's why the Republicans went to shut that down. If it was just stopping the black population, it would have been left alone. See, everything you try to do for us, it turns right back on you. You ain't figured that out? And so just let me give you a small thing before I leave. Just give me a second. Why don't you try something different? Hear me out. It was radical, I'm about to say. Why don't you try doing good to black people? I know it's crazy to hear that, right? Why don't you try doing good to black people? And maybe that goodness will return to you. Because see, every time you do bad to us, notice the bad returns to you, and sometimes in greater. So why don't you think this? One of the best things you can do, because it's old, is reparations in the form of cash payments. You don't need no study because you didn't need a study for, the trillions of dollars you paid during the CARES Act. You live in giving people loans without even checking their credentials. It said people all over the world have scammed money during that time period and got a lot of money out of the U.S. government because you weren't even checking. With no oversight, no nothing. So if you can do all that with no study, just on a vote, then you can do reparations the same way. And what if you do right by black people, pay reparations in the form of cash payments, get these laws changed where they just equal and fair. Not that black people want to be on top, just everybody's equal and fair, the same thing. That's all I really want. Everybody to be equal. Watch how that will return to you. Something good for a change. But you keep sowing bad seeds. And you wonder why these things keep coming up. Look at your reputation before the world. Donald Trump literally ruined your reputation. Ruined it. Even if you get a president that may be halfway decent. This man, I told y'all before, by the time that man get out of office, America never be the same. Never. Well, his community will never be the same. Let me put it like that. America, as they know it, is gone. It's not coming back. And that's what they disappointed the most about. They thought that he was going to bring it back and make America great again. It's never coming back. Not in a way you think. It's not coming back. You have a new America, and it's not going to be within your image. And that's what I guess hurtful the most. And that's why you look at the 1950s and you just cry and lament because you just felt that was a golden age for you.
Willie D. Live.
What's up, family? Well, what do we have here? Came all the way out, fam. There's an old saying. What's done in the dark shall come to light. And everything that Austin Metcalf did in the dark and in the light came to light because Austin loves loved the attention so much, he loved watching himself in action so much that he filmed most of his transgressions. Yeah. Well, I don't know about most of them, but he filmed a great deal of his transgressions. Yeah. So these transgressions did not come out in the original trial because Austin's the prosecution who was representing Austin and Carmelo Anthony's lawyers had a so-called gentleman's agreement where they would not talk about the sordid histories of or the character of either of the young men who were involved in the incident that left Austin Metcalf dead and Carmelo Anthony with a 35-year sentence that is now being appealed. From time to time, fam, I like to bring in people who can express themselves in a colorful way. You know, I don't have to always deliver the commentary. If somebody can do a really good job at doing it, I say, man, give them the floor. Who you see on the screen right now is Austin and Hunter Metcalf. It doesn't matter which one is which because they both were terrorists in their community. Equally, if you looked at any one of them, it ain't like you see one and say, oh, that's the good one. No, these were the evil twins. Yes, their acts were very wicked. They wreaked havoc on the community they came from. I do not know why Mike Howard, Carmelo Anthony's first chair attorney from his original trial, would agree to such of a thing because it was not comparing apples to apples. What they accused Carmelo of doing was way a lot less than what Austin Metcalf was accused of doing. Like Carmelo said that he would do something. He said, I would do it. He didn't do anything. He said, I would do it. So he made threats or whatever, but he never carried anything out. Austin Metcalf made threats and acted on those threats. The dude couldn't sit still. He couldn't stay in one place. This is like, you know, he got to be bad, fam. If he's a white guy in middle America getting kicked out of a basketball game, he got kicked out of school 8 times within like a 4-year span, I believe. He threatened to slap his daddy, called his daddy the N-word. He put his hands on girls, put his hands on boys. When they were 10 years old, these two right here, these two rascals right here, when they was 10 years old, they got arrested for beating on a little girl, pushing a little girl down so severely that she had to be hospitalized. They got arrested at 10 years old. They have been on a long string of criminal activity. Yeah. Yeah. So on this particular day, when they approached Carmelo Anthony under that tree, I don't think in their minds that that incident was going to be any different. Why should it? They oftentimes are never even held accountable for their actions. And even when they are, they get a pat on the wrist. Very little slight tap. That's it. Check out what this guy here said about these dudes.
For a new trial today, it came out that the Metcalf twins are exactly who the fuck we all knew they were. They're spawns of the racist-ass shit-ass daddy, the racist-ass pieces of shit. And I'm about to show you all the fucked up shit they've done in their lives, starting at the age of 10. Let's get into it. Cut it off. But they were 10 years old in elementary school when they were arrested for assault charges for bullying a female classmate. 10 years fucking old. The victim accidentally touched Metcalf in the face, angering him, and he proceeded to forcefully shove the girl to the ground using both hands. Does that sound familiar? When you get done watching this video, you can go to my page. Just go find the Jeff Metcalf interview and watch it. You will see that look at this. They were little racist fucking assholes. They have records from 2023 showing Metcalf bullied a black student and was not disciplined. A month before he was killed, Metcalf was ordered to stay away from a different black student he was accused of bullying. Several parents of cheerleaders at his high school said the children were afraid of both Hunter and Austin, which we heard that rumor during the trial. Austin was so fucked up that he was forced to go to a church group for those consumed by anger, lust, and addiction. Text messages from Hunter, Austin's brother, talking about wanting to jump kids from the Independence High School track team. These shitty indie kids talking, let's jump them. You're talking about two big fucking 18-year-olds who played football, who were strong as fuck, and who were violent as fuck. The girl that was shoved I told you about earlier, she had to go to the fucking hospital. She was hurt so bad. There was a 2023 incident involving Hunter where he was suspended in an undated incident after he and another student argued and allegedly threatened to bring guns to school. We have another incident in which Austin allegedly mocked a black student in 2022 for eating a banana. He filmed another student as he appeared to shove the boy's head into his crotch. Another 2023 incident. Austin cheering as a friend chased and tackled a black student, and Austin is heard saying, "Get over here, you black Jew." Mike Howard told the court that either Austin or Hunter had once grabbed their mother by the throat. At one point, Howard said Anthony witnessed one of the twins getting into a fight with other kids at a basketball game, leading the team to believe the Metcalf brothers were prone to fighting. It's clear as day the Metcalf boys are large, violent, racist pieces of shit. We learned everything from their racist piece of shit daddy Jeff Metcalf. They were violent from the time they were 10 years old, pushing girls down to the point they went to the hospital, racist graffiti, harassing black boys the whole time they were in high school. This trial was a joke from start to finish. They didn't go under that tent and say, "Oh, will you please get out, Karmeo?" No, they saw a black boy, they wanted him out, and Karmeo had a reason to fear for his life.
I ain't got no problem with that. Call a strike, and a ball, man. That's all. That's all. Those tears that Jeff Metcalf was crying, those are the tears of an alcoholic. Those are the tears of a raging racist, a deadbeat who did not do what he was supposed to do to raise his sons in a manner where they would respect others. Those were tears of guilt. All that anger and frustration, he did exactly what most of these MAGA types do. They point the finger at anybody but themselves. It's got to be somebody else because they're perfect. They're too good. They're too good. It's got to be somebody else's fault. That's the way that they do. It's got to be somebody else's fault. Nobody's claiming that this dude should have been killed, right? Nobody's claiming that he should have been killed. But what we are saying is we understand. We understand and they understand because every single time they kill a black person, they say they fear for their life. They always use that one. Police, every single time, I feared for my life. I feared for my life. Now, let me tell you something. Karmeo is a light dude, small dude. Like, he couldn't have been more than like 150 pounds, maybe 140 pounds. This Metcalf boy, both of them were over 200 pounds. When they brought Karmeo inside of the courtroom on Thursday, and I saw him for the first time in person, he was shackled. And I'm like, why is he shackled? You know, he ain't going nowhere. His police got this whole thing surrounded. He walked into a courtroom. They eventually took the cuffs off, but they wanted to humiliate him first and bring him in like he was some wild animal or something. It was really just unnecessary. But getting back to these Metcalf twins, these dudes were horrible human beings, and the daddy raised them. That's right. He raised them. He knew exactly who he raised. You see all that anger he had when he went on that racist rant? That's deep-seated. Yeah, fam. That wasn't some happenstance rant. That was deep-seated. It's almost like he got it from his daddy. And his daddy got it from his daddy. And his daddy got it from his daddy. And I ain't excusing the women either. Because they wrong, number one. The first mistake they made was linking up with these uncivilized mutts and procreating with them. Yeah. So, this dude, Austin, and his brother, Hunter, just bad actors. Remember, there was a rumor that Hunter is the one who actually approached Karmeo first. And then Austin joined in. They were almost always co-conspirators. They were just bad actors. They thought the rules didn't apply to them. And if they did, they just didn't respect the rules. This is why they got in trouble so much. This is why they were so violent. This is why they were always getting suspended. They were always cussing, being disrespectful. Reportedly, these dudes, one of them, choked their own mama. Choked their own mama. So it's not like people saying, well, he should have been killed. He should have been killed. Hey, if somebody want to say that, they got a right to say it. But I think the bigger thing is that people want to make sure that it's understood that this guy was not some non-violent, innocent, sweet child who they tried to make him out to be. He wasn't even beloved like that. People didn't like him because he was a bully. They tried to make it seem like he was beloved maybe by his mama or something. But this is the same dude who, if he didn't choke his mama, he didn't do anything about her getting choked. And this is the same dude who called his daddy the N-word. Say, I'll slap him, he ain't gonna do nothing. These dudes were terrorists. They were not innocent. Austin was not innocent, and Hunter ain't innocent. Hope to God that he don't become a police officer, because I do not have confidence that he would not gravely harm somebody of color. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Afternoon, we are also following the latest developments in the Carmelo Anthony appeal. His lawyer is now asking for a new trial for him. Anthony is currently serving 35 years in prison for killing Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet in Frisco last year.
The testimony today included that there are allegations of a history of violence and racist incidents involving Austin and Hunter Metcalf. The courtroom also heard testimony that there was a problem also in some history with Carmelo Anthony's character and background, and both prosecutors and defense attorneys were trying to keep this out of the original trial. Now, Anthony's lead attorney, Mike Howard, took the stand this afternoon, and he testified why he and co-counsel Toby Shook made an agreement with prosecutors to keep that information about the character and background of the Metcalf twins out of this, and also about Karmeo Anthony. Now, Howard testified that the defense learned that there were more than 53 incidents involving Austin and Hunter Metcalf, in which they're accused of fighting, assaulting other students, and using racial slurs against Black students. He also testified that in a couple of cases, they were accused of assaulting young women, and that teachers had complained that sometimes they were making derogatory comments towards teachers. And Howard said that some of those incidents went all the way back for years and showed a history and a pattern of violence and aggressive behavior on the part of Hunter and Austin Metcalf.
Okay, so that covers that side of it, Rebecca, but there was also testimony, as you said, about information about Karmeo Anthony that defense attorneys wanted to exclude. Can you say more?
Yeah, don't leave that out. We gotta, hold on. We gotta make sure we get that black son of a, gotta get him.
More about that?
Yes, so Bill Wertzke, the prosecutor in this case, an opening statement said that he also has information about the character of Karmeo Anthony and some of his background. And he also said that there was an incident on the day that this happened when Austin Metcalf was killed, where Karmeo Anthony's ex-girlfriend went to an assistant principal and said that he'd been stalking her and she was afraid of him and that he was spiraling. And she also said that he had an affinity towards guns, knives, and fights. And she was very concerned. And Bill Wertzke says he plans to present all of that when it's his turn.
Okay, so Rebecca, when you go through all of this, for anyone who paid attention to the trial, they know that none of this came out during the actual trial. Why is that?
So there was this gentleman's agreement that neither one of them was going to bring this up, that they were going to run a clean trial and they wouldn't bring up the character issues. But at the last minute, the defense attorneys are now saying that Bill Wertzke, the prosecutor, said that he was going to bring this up if Karmeo Anthony took the stand, and therefore they didn't present any of this evidence. They said they would have otherwise done so. And so now they are asking his new attorneys for a new trial, saying that there are some legal issues with what happened in the first trial, and they want a new trial. Jason.
Boy, you weren't kidding, Rebecca. There was a lot to unpack there from this day in the courtroom. Thanks so much for sitting in on all of that and walking us through it here. Really appreciate it.
Wow, that's something, ain't it, fam? I know when I first initially heard about this, I was taken back because I was like, I didn't know anything negative about Karmeo Anthony, But I could say I have my own theories about what's most important from this. We ain't going to overlook Karmeo Anthony's his text messages. But Bill, how can I say this? It seems to me that 53 pages, you said 53 pages, 55 pages of disciplinary shit might outweigh some text messages to your girl. Did he do something to his girl? Did he got some he had some police reports or something? He just do something? Are we talking about he just privately sent a text message? She was, okay. Yeah, we're going to get to it, man. It's amazing how the media treats this. It's also dirty as hell. If they had an agreement not to bring this stuff in, and I get it, sometimes cases I've seen this happen where you can't bring in anything that happened. This ain't new. You can't bring in anything that didn't happen that day. Right? I've seen that. And maybe in some other cases you didn't know. That's why you don't know anything about the certain backgrounds of the people that are in the trial or whatever. You might not know anything because they can get the judge to get that excluded. So I'm not unfamiliar with that tactic, but they threatened to reveal all of Karmeo's issues, and that left him unable to get on the stand, which would nullify basically, I think, the trial. I mean, if you tie someone's arms behind their back and say they can't get up and defend themselves in a self-defense case and tell people why they defended themselves, that seemed a little crazy. Also, there's the element of not letting the trial be public, which is a violation of the Sixth Amendment. You're supposed to let the trial be public. We're supposed to be able to see what happened. We're supposed to have this be an open book to the public, and it wasn't. So I think just on those two grounds, without even judging what's being said about Austin and what's being said about Karmeo. But let's keep going, fam. I got a couple more clips. Let's break down a little bit further about Austin and about Karmeo Anthony.
This convicted killer Karmeo Anthony's retrial hearing continues today as the judge is considering a trove of evidence that the jury never saw, including disturbing text messages that were sent by Anthony. Todd Pyro joins us now with the latest. Todd?
Ainsley, good morning. The fate of Karmeo Anthony's retrial attempt remains undecided as his hearing for a new trial continues this morning. Prosecutors revealing disturbing new texts showing Anthony threatening to murder his girlfriend around the time Austin Metcalf was stabbed in the heart at a high school track meet. One text from Anthony reads, quote, "How many bullets you want coming out of your chest?" Anthony sending another saying, quote, "When I stab somebody, I'm going to lick their blood off the blade." And this text sent 2 hours before Metcalf was murdered reading, quote, "I'm low key on the verge." After receiving these threatening texts, Anthony's ex-girlfriend allegedly told an assistant principal he was stalking her. Prosecutors adding Anthony had a history of getting into fights and an obsession with knives and guns. This information just now being revealed to the jury, or just now being revealed, I should say, was kept under wraps by both sides as a gentleman's agreement, promising to not use the text as evidence ahead of Anthony's original murder trial. The defense had agreed not to speak on victim Austin Metcalf's juvenile criminal history, which included graffiti and incidents of Metcalf bullying minority students, being violent, and using racial slurs. Anthony's team now claiming the agreement violated his constitutional rights and contributed to his decision not to testify. The court's going to hear more testimony today.
Well, okay. Let me get this right. He has a history of getting into fights. I want to know more about this history. Is he around the way boy known to get into fights? Or you got something like, I don't know, you got some stuff from his school? Or you got some police reports? What you got? That he was fond of knives and guns? Had he used knives and guns on people? Because I know when my son was 13, he had this thing for swords. You know, that doesn't mean he never did anything to anybody with any swords, but he used to love swords. And I think he still does. And now he's grown, he's almost a grown man now, and he's never done anything with anybody with any swords, but he thought swords were cool. He always thought swords were cool. And kids were raised in certain environments or under certain conditions may have a fondness for guns. And that's just, they look at TV, they watch movies, they think, I love guns. And they just have a thing for them. It doesn't mean they've ever done anything with anybody to hurt anybody with a gun. It just means they like guns. They have a fondness for guns. It doesn't necessarily mean, so gotta be careful about how much weight you give what they're saying, because they're saying it for a reason. Now, I do find it troubling, and I ain't gonna talk around this. If you sent your girlfriend a text message, how many shots you want in your chest, bullets, that's a threat. Yeah, that's a threat, fam. You can't sugarcoat that. That's not good. Then, if you say something about licking the blood off of a knife after you stab someone, that's kind of hard to get past that. Like, then you stab someone. Even though it's not her, thank God. And I'm sure that's what her family's thinking. I'm pretty sure that's what she is thinking. What I'm saying is, we ain't got to sugarcoat that. That's not good. Nah, man, I'm not going to pretend that that's okay. Because it's incriminating as hell. I want to shoot up everybody. Then you shoot somebody. You go, that ain't why. I just did that because I was afraid. explain. Yeah, he got a lot of explaining to do. He got a lot of explaining to do. So let's be clear, man, just so you know where I'm coming from. Up to this point, I said, I don't feel that Karmeo Anthony planned to kill Austin Metcalf. I thought that was overcharging. Now I need to hear Karmeo Anthony's testimony more than ever. More than ever. Because now we're setting up a situation where he's talking about doing something to somebody, unaliving someone, and then he unalives someone. We can't be honest people. I'm not an honest commentator if I don't acknowledge.
That's a fact, but he never approached anybody. He never approached anybody to unalive anybody. You got every right to be saying, hey, man, if anybody mess with me, man, I'll stab them and lick the knife off their blood. You got every right to say that in life. If you come fuck with me, try to assault me, I'm going to stab you, and I'll lick the knife out your, lick the blood off. You can say that. That's mentally disturbing, and I hate that the little brother was on the edge. But Austin Metcalf was talking about killing people, shooting up whole schools, unaliving blacks. He said kill all blacks, and then he happened to run into one of these blacks. It's Karmeo Anthony absolutely could still have been defending himself because he didn't approach any goddamn body. The guy who was talking about kill all blacks and punching on everybody and bullying everybody approached him and then punched him and tried to bully him, period.
Acknowledge that's a problem. And you got to put any bias aside, because that could have been your child. Right? And your child could have been the victim. You wouldn't want anybody to put that aside for you. So yeah, we need to we need Karmeo Anthony damn sure. I hope they grant him a new trial, if for no other reason than to hear his explanation to that shit. Because you got to answer for this. What else? Because, and also bear in mind, everything's not being released in the text messages. Do you think Karmeo just said these things in a vacuum and nothing else was said to him in a text message? You have no idea what she may have said in the text message. She may have said, I'm going to shoot up your house. He may have said, you don't know now, we don't know. She may have said, I'm going to get my brothers to shoot up your house. He may have said, you're going to be digging bullets out your ass. That would put a different spin on it, wouldn't it? But see, they don't have any obligation in this news report. The defense has the prosecutor has no obligation to give you full context that damages the state's case. So I know I'm going to have people that's going to take it and run with it. What I'm saying is, you don't know the context of what's being said. And you may say, there was no context where that was acceptable. Well, if someone threatens you, you may threaten them back. So we don't know. We don't know. So once again, we need more information to make an informed decision. That makes sense? Well, now since we dragged out Karmelo's situations, let's bring out some Austin Metcalf, because I remember fondly Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, going on TV saying he didn't want to make this about race. And how dare we make this about race? Turns out he raised a couple of racists. Who didn't see that coming, Charleston White? You goofball. You're lame. You couldn't see that with the watermelon felon line? Check it out, fam. Let's get to it. Yeah, I know my comment section's on fire.
Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, we did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism. There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school. And in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
Next up with
Okay. That provides a little bit of texture to it, don't it? Makes things seem a little bit more interesting on both sides of the coin, doesn't it? It is sad, fam, that if you're on X or one of these social media sites and your algorithm's only decorated one way, you might not even hear this. Yeah, like if you support Carmelo Anthony, you're probably going to only get one side of the equation. And if you support Austin Metcalf or Jeff Metcalf or anti-Carmelo Anthony, you're only going to get the other side of the equation. That's why, I pride myself in bringing you both so you can be pissed off at both sides. So let me get this right. We got a little bit of difference I see in the backgrounds of both of these young people. One is, it seems like the authorities were involved with Austin, with Carmelo not so much. Kind of strange. KKK, huh? Kill all the N-words, huh? Bullying black kids, beating up black kids, beating up women. See, I didn't hear them say that about Carmelo Anthony, and you know damn well if they had that type of background on Carmelo, they would have been using it. Yeah, they would have stated it. Yeah, we got records of him beating up his girlfriend. We got records of him beating up others and pulling knives and stabbing people. But what we have here with Austin is him doing things, not saying things in a text, doing things, fighting, bullying. Kind of puts things in perspective about what happened that day. There were a lot of people online, but I think we got to give them some love. We got maybe some apologies to some of our TikTokers who were saying how they heard that Austin was a bully and people kept saying this is bullshit, it's rumors. Turned out it was facts. Turned out he was a bully. In-school suspension, probation, Heil Hitler. Yeah, man. Jeff Metcalf is up here crying and blubbering on the film or on video, and I get it because he's a dad and he lost his son. And look, man, I get that, man. I truly understand and can relate to that. But fam, you don't get to all of a sudden wipe clean the background of your child. You know what kind of son you had this whole time. In fact, this shit is about race because you're a racist. And you probably have something to do with them being racist themselves. Wow. Austin Metcalf and his dad make the Nolan Wells kids seem like Gary Owen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in comparison. Jesus Christ. He literally told a doctor that he couldn't control himself. Anger and rage counseling. So do people still think do people still think there was nothing said under that tent? Does anybody besides me believe that the people were lying about or lying for Austin Metcalf and his family when they talked about what was said and what actually went down under that tent? I mean, it was so blurry, we really couldn't see it that well, but you really don't think Austin Metcalf made verbal threats to Karmeo Anthony? Yeah, now I know he said some stuff in text to his girlfriend, which is some punk shit, but I don't know. I got a feeling a kid with anger management issues who's prone to living out racist attitudes, racist beliefs, and actually doing violent and racism towards people, onto people, even girls. I got a feeling he has some choice words for Karmeo Anthony under that tent. But if you got a defense attorney and he's not going to bring this shit up no matter what to save your life, what kind of a defense lawyer is that, fam? That ain't a defense lawyer, man. That's somebody working with the other side. I mean, how could you not divulge that? This is the case. This is the case. This is a scary young man. He's bigger, he's threatening, and he's kicked people's ass. They ain't putting in this thing what Karmeo did to kick people's ass. This guy was beating people's ass. You don't think, look, know this. If they had evidence that Karmeo Anthony was beating people up and he had a history of kicking ass, not text messages, that would be in this list of things they're bringing out now. They would be talking about that. Huh. The only thing about it is, and it's a big thing, it's not a small thing. The only thing about it, only one person lost their life that day, and that was Austin Metcalf. And I've always been of the opinion that I was sorry that happened to that young man. I'm sorry for his trouble. But let's not forget, he did put his hands on Karmeo Anthony. It was not the other way around. So for all the shit people are saying, for all of the pearl clutching and the vindication, and I'm sure we got a couple of Karens on Twitter or X and Facebook. Yeah, like that Sally Fields character. I'm sure they're not mentioning the fact that all this doesn't change the fact Karmeo Anthony hadn't put his hands on anybody that day. It was Austin Metcalf who initiated the contact. And we now know, more than likely, he wasn't just patting him on the back as a friend. More than likely, it wasn't the nicest conversation or interaction. And we got a lot of liars under that damn tent. Because you ain't got no cameras there, you got no adults there, and we got a guy with a history of violence. And he don't seem like he like black people either. And you mean to tell me nobody under the tent's like, yeah, Austin, he was the aggressor, when it's obvious he was? At the end of the day, one person ran away. I stand on my square, fam. Of course I want to hear what Karmelo's explanation is. That's the difference to me, but still, that's the difference between murder, self-defense, and I know in Texas, there's really no manslaughter. That's the problem. But we need to know that. We need to know exactly what was going through the mind of Karmeo Anthony. But after hearing this about Austin, yeah, you may have in your mind, you may be like, yo, I got a knife and I'm going to kill somebody if somebody messes with me and all this and all that. And people can talk smack all the time. People talk smack. Did he talk smack about killing Austin Metcalf? And who initiated this physically? I come back to that, fam. I come back to that. Those are important points. Those are important points, and I think we can't overlook them. And no matter how surprised and taken aback we are, and I know, like I was in the beginning when I heard it, you saw me. I saved the most damaging parts to hear for a live reaction because I want this to be authentic. And it was troubling hearing him say, you know, those things about his girlfriend or licking blood off a blade. It also sounds goofy, like some shit you said of a movie. Was he torturing animals or something? Is somebody buried under the stairs? I mean, it just sounds like a young kid talking dumb shit. Does that sound? Because there's nothing to go with it. It's just words. Hell, it sounds like, for lack of a better term, it sounds like some Ghetto Boys 1989 lyrics. It don't sound real. So now you want us to believe Karmeo Anthony is a serial killer because he wrote some unsettling text messages? Meanwhile, we got Ed Norton from American History X doing Heil Hitler's and writing KKK and kill all the blacks. And that's not the word he's using, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, we got reasons to believe maybe Austin planning to do some curb stomping, romper stomper. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know, fam. I want the retrial to happen. I'm not going to back off my sayings. I still believe if it wasn't for the aggressive nature of Austin Metcalf, he's probably still here. I mean, it's not missed on me, man. We are talking about someone losing their life. But I'm telling you, fam, there's a lot here to unpack. Get us a real trial. Get all the evidence out there. Also, don't forget to mention, Karmeo Anthony dove in the pool and saved some kid's life. That part's not in the text message, is it? Just might want to throw that in there if we are assassinating character based on text messages. Somebody got a rap sheet and somebody don't, is what I'm looking at. We got text messages on Karmeo, and we got a rap sheet a mile long, 54 pages of brutality and racism from Austin and aggressive activity. And we got Karmeo talking about it. And we got Austin doing it. But once again, Austin's dead. All right, fam. Let me know what y'all think of the comments.
Know how they do the little boomerang thing on Instagram. Uh-oh. What do we have here, y'all? What do we owe? That's Nolan right there, y'all. That's Nolan right there. I'm trying to do it slow for y'all. This one of them breeze by. You know how they do the little boomerang thing on Instagram and all. It's one of those. Y'all, I woke up to a lot this morning. We got a lot of lies being disproved, and we got more video footage, y'all. And I want y'all to let me know, do y'all think this is real, or do y'all think this is AI? I don't think it's AI at all, because when y'all see this, y'all ain't gonna see no 6 fingers and 2 arms and all of that. Everything looks in line. Before we get into it, y'all make sure y'all hit that hype button. Make sure you like the video, and make sure for those that's in the back, stuck in their ways, you never hit no buttons, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check this out, y'all.
Yes, sister, friend, I will share a longer version. I'm going to add it to this one. But the purpose of this video, I couldn't even sleep last night because I was trying to put A, B, C together. So this picture, the video, on June the 23rd helps in a lot of ways, because Warren stated in all of the videos in his interviews that they were a tight-knit group of people. And he also said that there were around 20 to 30 people scattered in those 3 or 4 different boats that they had taken, correct? Okay, so
we saying this one?
The trip on June the 23rd, per Warren, are a tight-knit group of people, would be the same people that we saw inside this picture.
Uh-oh. What do we have here, y'all? What do we owe? That's Nolan right there, y'all. That's Nolan right there. I'm trying to do it slow for y'all. This one of them breeze by. You know how they do the little boomerang thing on Instagram and all. It's one of those. Y'all see that? So I want y'all to pay attention to see everybody. I want to see who that is in the front. Y'all see this? That's Nolan. That is Nolan. I'm trying to see who it. So you got all these damn people ain't saying nothing. This is wild. 1, 2, 3. There's somebody right here in the cut. There's somebody right here. Somebody right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's somebody at the front of a driver. 5, 6, 7. Justice for Nolan, man. Let's get it, y'all. Look, 2 right there. Hold on.
So
2
that
up
is
there.
where I'm.
2 up there.
So that is.
Look, 2 up there. Just enjoying the breeze and shit. That's sad, man. Sad, man.
So that is where I'm going with the video, because Warren again said that they were a tight-knit group of friends. Like, there's no outsiders in their circle. And so the same people that are on that video on June the 23rd are the same people that are in that still image on Horns Island, allegedly Horns Island, that we see here.
So for those that don't get what she was saying, because I was running my mouth, what she was insinuating is that being as though that they've been implying so much that they're a tight-knit group, tight-knit group, tight-knit group. She showed a video of the tight-knit group with each other. Why the hell the tight-knit group ain't coming out saying nothing? You're tight-knit. Why would Nolan Wells want to go off and venture by himself? And then you had one of the young men say, Nolan always was trying to be with us. Nolan always trying to be on a boat.
If 3 Black people took a white man on a boat expedition and didn't return with him, the president would be making a speech right now. There is a double standard of justice and coverage that here's why Kevin discusses in a great post about the national news's silence on Nolan Wells. If you Google Nolan Wells New York Times, there is no article. Nolan Wells MSNBC, nope, they haven't written one. By CNN, all that they have is a TikTok-style video, no written article. And the Washington Post finally has an article only after his body was found. Here's why Kevin references a study that found while Black people make up roughly 35% of missing persons cases in the F.B.A. database at the time of the study, they received only 7 to 11% of media coverage. This is why local news outlets like the Mississippi Free Press that's been reporting on this are so important, and why it's so dangerous that news has been consolidating into these big billionaire-owned corporations, forcing lots of local outlets recently to keep shutting down. You can find the GoFundMe of Nolan's family at the Schmink and My Schmio. And one of the most important things is that families will tell you what they need. Sometimes that's privacy, spreading the word, financial support. We don't want to assume, we want to let them tell us how to help. His mother's request a couple days ago was if you have any pictures or videos that were taken on the northwest tip of Horn Island on July 4th to reach out to her. This is her Threads account, and you can provide evidence to help their investigation.
This is why we must be our own news. We cannot look for these people to save us, y'all. We cannot look to these people to push out our message and try to get justice for us. They are all connected, y'all. This is why I be telling us, look, we got to do this together, y'all.
How does young men who we don't really have any evidence that committed a crime, how do they get painted as criminals? How do they get painted as being responsible for the death of a person that was considered their friend?
By putting you on the case. For real, that's like someone accused of SA and then turning Republican. It's pretty much an admission of guilt. For real, why are you even on the case? You're not a cop anymore, Anthony Anderson, who would never be in Blackish. You asked, how do they get painted as criminals? How do you paint them innocent? All you are doing is defending those kids. You're interviewing them. You're pretty much their spokesperson. And just like with Sonia Massey, George Floyd, and everyone else, you're lying about this case. You said those kids took polygraph tests. Now you were were checked and proven wrong by Nancy Grace. But here's her interviewing the kid's lawyer.
Have your clients taken polygraphs?
Nancy, my clients have not taken a polygraph test.
Now, this guy here is a boy's lawyer. His name is Tyler Cox. Of course, it's Tyler Cox. Now, what does this lawyer want you to see? Advertisement for his business, Call Cox, and a bottle. The only two things he's advertising, his business and another business. Now, if you zoom in, you'll clearly see it's a bottle of Verdict bourbon. And he's been doing interviews all over, and he always has that bottle of bourbon behind him. Now, here's Brandon Tatum's podcast. What do you see? I see Verdict bourbon, right? Verdict bourbon is owned by Brandon Tatum. What a coincidence. So you don't think it's a conflict of interest for someone to market your product, who's also the lawyer of the white boys that you are protecting and painting innocent? Now, I'm positive Brandon Tatum's going to have a weak-ass excuse. Yeah, when I met him, I gave him a bottle because Verdict, he's a lawyer, Verdict, you know. But if the lawyer had any brains at all, he would see how this would look. By the way, you're defending those kids, Brandon. I wouldn't be surprised if they were drinking Verdict bourbon on the boat. Please threaten to sue me again, Brandon. Let's take this shit to discovery.
I just received this message in my inbox, and it says, I was present during the events involving Nolan. Nolan was on the island with a girl while he had his phone. He later returned to his friends, and they all sailed back to shore. After that, his phone's location moved back and forth before ending up at Evan's house. As around 1 a.m., Nolan had asked for his phone back after he had been taken. Physical altercation followed. He said they observed Nolan gasping for air and coughing up blood. On July the 5th, search teams did not find Nolan. But based on the timeline and the information available to him, I believe that his body was moved sometime late in the evening of July the 5th or during early hours of July the 6th. They are saying that's exactly why there was nothing found in the initial search for Nolan. They believe that Nolan was unalive between July 5th and or either July the 6th. Those final conclusions are their personal beliefs based on them being a witness and knowing. Unfortunately, they weren't on the island to witness or give direct times of the dumping of his body. So unfortunately being covered up. One of the boys' mom, who is a judge, went to her house, and that's where the boat was cleaned because she knows what to use to clear evidence because she is a judge. This is truly, now all of this is alleged, y'all. It's just,
I want y'all to pay close attention to this next video because he's going to expound on something that I've been meaning to talk about, and it's this moving on up mindset that we have in the Black community. When we get a bunch of money or we elevate in life, we feel as though we got to move and be amongst different people and just leave our own community. And he goes on to say that that may be the problem, trying to assimilate with the people that don't even like us, y'all. Check this out.
Allow me to drop a thought. Black parents must come to realize that they may be part of the problem when their kids lose sight of their own cultural heritage and race. Some Black parents love the idea of their Black kid being the only Black kid in a white group. They somehow believe that it's progress and indications of great success when they can claim mostly white friends. There is an inherent danger when our kids grow up with this illusion of inclusion. Now take, for instance, the Nolan Wells case. It should be a warning shot to all Black parents. Stop patting yourself on the back just because you've escaped your own people. At some point, you will realize that all you might have one day are your own people. We have been taught and programmed to not think well of our own race. Therefore, we associate everything good with being white. Now, without any chastisement of the Wells parents, I truly believe that they will search their own souls and parenting styles in regard to their tragic loss. Isolation is isolation. We could not afford to allow our children to isolate themselves in groups that lack other members of their own race. Example.
So the part I want to expound on is when our people get money or whatever, and we feel like we got to disassociate ourselves from our own people. I don't think Nolan Wells' parents did that. I believe Nolan Wells was happy when he was around his own people, like when we see in the TikTok videos. We don't see any TikTok videos of Nolan Wells dancing, doing TikToks, happy and smiling when he's with those white boys. I don't see it, but I don't believe that Miss Christine Wansley and Elmore left the black community just to be around the white community. I feel as though Nolan was associating himself with people that will not accept him. They would never accept him. And I think it would have been best that he stayed around his people.
We got a governor who comes out immediately during a murder investigation and says, we see no foul play. Some people thought that was suspicious, but it turns out that the governor is actually friends with one of the persons who is suspected of being involved, parents. What does a personal connection, or when does a personal connection become a legal conflict, in your opinion?
Right here, right now, we have all the makings of a cover-up.
Boom. Now you know what? Now, we are making progress, because I stood there the whole time and I said, this is what it is. But you were reluctant to say that. You were extremely reluctant to say that. And I'm going to tell you, man, for you to come around and hear that evidence, to see how things are stacking up, for you to actually change your position. Most people will not change their position. They'll stand on that hill. They don't give a damn what evidence is presented. They're going to stand on that hill. For you to hear this new findings and to be able to say, they're in trouble, it says a lot about your character.
Thank you. I've always tried to call balls and strikes, right? I've always tried to be objective from a legal standpoint. I always say that again and again, right? This is a problem. This is a problem out the gate. You are on the money, okay? The fact of the matter is, too many politicians, too many elected officials are tied way too close to too many potential, if not outright, suspects. That's what you have here. That's as clear as day. Now, what that means, people are going to have different opinions, but the conflict is glaring. This is problematic on a lot of levels for the state, for the county, for these individuals. And the longer they stay voluntarily tied to this investigation, the worse it is for them, because they are held to a greater public scrutiny. They're held to higher burdens that we can really dive into their pasts.
There you have it, y'all. We got an attorney who was once on the other side, but then he was man enough to come out after all this stuff we starting to see on the internet. Cito call, these little young men up there lying on podcasts. He like, nah, something fishy. Let me go and come out and let them know I ain't on that side no more. That's a man, somebody who admits when they were in the wrong. But like he said, there are way too many people that are connected with this, people of power. So if one go down, it's going to be a lot of people to go down, because you're going to have some snitches up in there too. How did you figure this out? Who assisted you with this? Oh, it was, we'll reduce your time. We'll let you get out. Oh yeah, it was my mom, and then she called some people, and then those people called some people, and then them people called some people. And next thing you know, that's the bombshell right there, y'all. But y'all get in the comment section. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that.
what happened. They killed Nolan Wells on the boat. They covered him up with the life jackets. They all knew he was on the boat. They just laid him on the back of the boat and got towed in part of the way. Then they got their boat running and they got on in. And when they got in, they couldn't figure out where they were going to put him or what they were going to do. So they dropped everybody off. Then they went back out to the island that the GPS doesn't show, but they did because they disconnected it. Okay? And none of them had their phones with them when they went back. So there wasn't any trace of them going back. And they dumped the body. They came back, took the boat out of the water, then went over there at 3 a.m. and washed the boat, thinking washing the boat would get all the DNA and everything off the boat. That's what they did. Now, I'm telling you, the stories are unbelievable at this point. You can't make this up. You know, first, it was about leaving the island. Well, that one blew up. Found out 2 people were at the island, saw him. Then the Coast Guard, Coast Guard call, CETO call. Nolan, oh my God, Nolan, get up. They heard that. Can't make it up. Not making it up. Then there was the phone, Warren's phone. Now, this. And also, last night, we have a bunch of body experts of their body movements in their interviews that they were not telling the truth. That they're body experts. You know, they moved their eyes like that or moved like that or, they looked up or, something. But I'm telling you, the authorities should use these TikTok creators to solve this case. They are some of the smartest people you will ever encounter. So here's what happened.
Now, I don't know who Paw that is, but he just explained what happened in a nutshell. Now, he didn't go into detail like everybody else has already acknowledged that Nolan was probably dead on that boat, and that is why they went the roundabout way trying to figure out what to do with them until they finally came up with the plan to go back and dump his body. As you recall, they saying he was not found in the water. He was found like on the sand. And, they said that there was no way that he could just wash up on the sand in that amount of time. But I want y'all to take a look at this picture here. And you see it says, what in the world is up under them life jackets? It's like they're laying on top of something, covering the bottom of the boat. This is so sickening. Start telling us all what happened to Nolan. All of you are going down, sinking. And at the end of that picture, they had that little black afro thing right there, circled. And so, could that be Nolan Wells on the bottom of the boat, ready to be transported away from all the people on Horn Island? So they can figure out what to do with them. Once again, nobody knows at this point, but we know that something has went down. And, shout out to the old white man for telling the truth, or telling what many people feel like is the truth. Because when Black people say it, we're always, paranoid, always being dubbed as racist, so on and so forth. But when white people say it, it becomes truth. So hopefully, once again, we'll get the truth. A lot of people are saying that Nolan was killed possibly by those white boys. So we're going to stay focused and vigilant on it and keep bringing information as it ensues. But that picture, is very telling. It's another questionable picture of these white boys on the boat looking kind of suspect. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Today's video is a public service advisory about a violent criminal who's been released, and the public needs to know who he is. It's Chud the Butthead. You know what he's done, and he's to be considered both armed and dangerous. He's already attempted to murder one Black person in cold blood, and he'll be looking for his next unsuspecting victim. Don't let that be you. He's scum, but he's also a coward, too. He was betting on his fellow racists throwing their state mental health disability checks at him when he got jammed up for that attempted murder charge, and for a moment it seemed like it would work. Give, Send, Go, a website that's funded a number of racist thugs in the past, was where he went to grift some quick cash from his fellow losers. The Give, Send, Go page was set up by Chud himself before he attempted that murder. He set it up after he was fired from his job, if he had one, for using racial slurs, and he was asking his fellow bigots for donations to keep him from becoming homeless. Give, Send, Go is a white nationalist website that acts as a clumsy front for basically money laundering cash given to race killers. They were the ones who used their platform to collect money for Kyle Rittenhouse. Funding white supremacist violence is what they were set up for. They're not Christians, they're white supremacists on their own personal jihad. Now, these crowdfunding platforms are supposed to have policies where they don't allow people to enrich themselves for violent acts. And even if some clown wants to say that Chud the Butthead hasn't been convicted of violence, there's no questioning the fact that he's committed violence. In his case, though, he wasn't quite so lucky because a Tennessee judge barred him from using the blood money that he got on Give, Send, Go, which for a while at least meant that he had to cool his racist heels in jail for a while. But earlier this month, he put together a patchwork of nearly a dozen bail bondsmen who he gave just enough money to get each of them to put up $100,000 apiece on his behalf. But it actually went beyond that because he's also got a case against him in Davidson County after he caused a disturbance at a Nashville restaurant. A few weeks after he made that murder attempt, his bond for the restaurant arrest was revoked in Davidson County. So Chud knew that if he posted bail for the attempted murder that he tried to carry out in Clarksville, he would immediately be subject to arrest in Nashville. So he wanted to make sure that he had the ability to post bail for both. The district attorney general in Nashville said, "Last Friday, our assistant district attorney tells me that the judge, despite our objection, granted a bond to Dalton Etherly for $15,000. He immediately made that bond just as he did his $1 million bond in Montgomery County." The prosecutor also said that the district attorney's office will immediately file a motion to revoke his bond if he reoffends while awaiting trial. Now, keep in mind, this is exactly what was supposed to happen after he attempted to murder somebody, but that's how it works under white supremacy. As long as you got the complexion for the protection, well, the law just never works. I find it dubious that they were really trying to stop the judge from granting him bond in Nashville, but for the sake of argument, let's say that they were. The reality is, this judge knew he was facing charges for attempted murder and that he's a violent offender, and yet overlooked that to offer him bond anyway. See, this isn't a case of, well, he doesn't have a violent past. I mean, it's not like he has a criminal record. Of course he does. This is racial immunity from law. Violating bond, going from theft of services straight to attempted murder means nothing so long as you got the right skin color. This is their way of trying to show that they stand in solidarity with this creep. Now that he's back out on the streets, he'll be trying to both lay low and at the same time posting more racially inflammatory content because he needs to show the racists that he's so edgy and daring. And after all, this is how he grifts for cash. Well, black people need to make sure that they're ready and able to protect themselves when he tries to run up on you, because this animal is armed and dangerous. Black people have to be ready to neutralize the threat the next time he shows up with a gun and starts throwing threats at someone. The white authorities allowed this creep to remain on the loose in the hopes that he would eventually kill a black person. That was the entire point. He tried, but like everything else in his life, he failed. So now the Tennessee courts are allowing someone who caught 2 criminal cases in less than a week to be out on the streets because, as they see it, he should be allowed to do some sort of kamikaze mission. Well, this Zero should get the same treatment the Japanese Zeros did during the war. This is a litmus test as to how much influence these racist rage baiters have with their own bigoted followers. They didn't have enough clout to actually keep this clown from getting jammed up in the first place, but now they're trying to see if they can get themselves a victory after the fact. And you got the judge in this case trying to help them do it. And it's no accident that this crap is happening in Tennessee. Tennessee is, after all, the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan, and it's also where Dr. King was assassinated. So that state is absolutely infested with racist trash. We shouldn't accept any lies that these race killers are working in isolation. They're not. Kyle Rittenhouse certainly had the full support of the racist judge who presided over his case. And the fact that he's got a number of cases against him, especially for attempted murder, he should already have been deplatformed from every single social media site and every sort of video file sharing site that there is out there. He shouldn't be able to post content anywhere, and any of his crap should already be gone. But it's not. Just like with Give, Send, Go, these social media sites, they always make sure to protect creeps like this. They make it where these guys can post whatever anti-black content they want, including attempted snuff films, and they just allow that stuff to stay up on the internet anyway. It is meant to embolden the next anti-black would-be mass murderer. This is what these social media websites do. But then again, whenever you look at the people who are behind these websites, you find that they are every bit as anti-black as these would-be race soldiers out here on the streets. So family, you make sure that if this creep decides that he's going to run up on you with a gun, that you are ready and prepared to protect yourself. Because he's not looking to do content. What he's looking for is to carry out a murder and to see if he can get these racist judges to back him up. And they've already shown that that's exactly what they're willing to do. The fact that he's got a well-established public record of running up on black people with a gun, trying to start fights, threatening people, terrorizing people, trying to intimidate the public, and he had already been charged with a criminal offense less than a week before the attempted murder charge, that alone should have been enough to make it where he doesn't have bail whatsoever. But of course, that's the entire purpose. This is about making a racialist statement. Well, black citizens need to be prepared to make a statement of their own, that they're not going to be intimidated, they're not going to be terrorized, and when someone calls themselves running up on you screaming racial epithets at gunpoint, you are not going to be asking permission to protect yourself. And speaking of protection, the community needs to be exercising some of its own by remaining vigilant and keeping an eye out for this would-be anti-black race killer. As the terms of his bail are, he's supposed to be under house arrest with an ankle monitor. He's not allowed to have a gun. Well, somebody needs to make sure that he is actually obeying the terms of his bail, because he's not the kind of individual who actually believes in obeying the law. He's made it very clear he'll violate the law every chance he gets. The community, for its own safety, needs to make sure that he is compelled to obey the law, and if he decides he's not going to, they have every right to protect themselves. He is a violent would-be killer. And we also know that this guy is looking to kill someone. This is not a matter of, well, it might happen incidentally. His entire purpose of doing it is he is trying to kill someone on video. He thinks to himself that's how he's going to immortalize himself with these other white supremacists out there. Sure, he's supposed to be under house arrest, and he's supposed to have an ankle monitor, and there's supposed to be stringent restrictions on his ability to move around. But the reality is, as we saw with Ethan Couch and others, these people already know that the law is not going to come down on them very hard or at all when it comes to them violating the terms of their bail. These guys can just run around and it doesn't matter. They get caught, so what? The court's simply going to say, well, you shouldn't have done that, and they'll be treated as if nothing had happened. So the Black community in Tennessee, who understand that these racist judges are deliberately and intentionally enabling a violent anti-Black would-be killer to look for his next victim, they're trying to help him carry out a murder, and they're doing it intentionally. That community has every right to make sure that none of them are harmed by this creep. And since they know that the judges are doing everything that they can to allow this guy to skirt the law and scoff at the law, the community is also justified in making sure that this violent would-be murderer actually obeys the terms of his bail, whether he wants to or not. This is a violent anti-Black thug whose acts of criminality have only been escalating. He started off with throwing racial slurs, and then from there throwing racial slurs with a gun, and inevitably trying to murder someone. At this point, about the only step left is the old going out in a blaze of glory, or in his case, he knows the cops aren't going to harm him because he's white, so he'll decide that maybe he commits a mass shooting next. This is another one that we've seen countless times in the past, like in Ron DeSantis' Florida, where he allowed the Jacksonville killer to be emboldened by the stochastic terrorism of the DeSantis regime until he inevitably felt emboldened enough to carry out an anti-Black mass murder. This is the end result that they want. This is the goal that they want. And it is the responsibility of Black people to be realistic about the threat that they're up against and be prepared to protect themselves from it. The so-called law enforcement is not enforcing the law against this criminal, so it's up to the conscientious citizens to make sure that the law is being upheld and is being obeyed. People who are in denial about white supremacy may try to claim, well, we don't know what's going on in his mind. The hell we don't. We know exactly what kind of satanic brew is going on in that two-cycle weed whacker brain of his. He's thinking to himself, how can I carry out some anti-Black act of violence? I failed to kill a Black person last time, but this time I'll do it even if it's the last thing I do. That's what's going through his head. And that being the case, no matter what plans he may have to attack Black people in the future, the one outcome that the conscientious citizens there can guarantee doesn't happen is that he ever jumps bail. Good day. And be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Wally
I love how the sister breaks it down because a lot of people need this primer. They need to understand the delineation movement is nothing more than an awakening of Black Americans who realize we're tired of getting screwed over and getting lied to. That's it. It's not a psyop. It's not a maneuver of the U.S. government to try to make us not stick together. It's Black Americans realizing ain't nobody sticking with us.
Let's do a little history walk, shall we? So first, when Barack Obama got elected in 2008, we thought a Black man was going into the office and he was going to make sure that Black people were taken care of. And in his first term, he was not able to do that. We understand. Of course, the second term, like Trump, you have no balls to the walls, right? You don't have to worry about re-election. You can do whatever you want. And he still chose not to do anything for us. And so at that point, we're like, we need to question this overall Black alliance. It might not be as aligned as we think it should be. So now that we've started to see that not all skin folk are kinfolk, and that some people really have their own agenda, right? And their agenda doesn't include helping foundational Black Americans. And we have to respect that because they've been telling us for a long time they're not Black. They've been telling us for a long time we are not the same. They've been telling us and telling us and telling us. And now we're finally hearing it because we saw what that looks like. We saw that they can be in the highest position of power and do absolutely nothing for foundational Black Americans. So we said, you know what? Pulling support. We're done with that. We're not going to keep trying to push that narrative. They don't want it, so we're not going to push it anymore. We're just going to take care of ourselves. We're going to mind our own business. We're going to take care of our communities. We're going to get our families back intact. You guys keep saying that we have such a terrible culture, then we're going to go ahead and fix that. So we don't have time. We don't have energy to focus on anybody else. We're only going to focus on us. And all of a sudden, they started realizing, oh, I live in America. And the things that the foundational Black Americans were telling me would actually be helpful in this time when there is a Republican in office and they don't really care about you. You need somebody to advocate for you. So now that we've sat down and said we're not advocating for you anymore, the fear is starting to come. You take the whole situation where they're removing statuses. Normally we would say, oh, you can't do that to people. You need to do this. You need to do that. We would stand up. We would fight. Now we're like, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And you can feel that. They can feel that. They really can feel that. Then we just sat down and said, yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess you should have got your paperwork together, right? Yeah, I guess so. And I think that's where the fear is coming from. What happens if there's a sustained perspective that we should only focus on ourselves? What happens to everybody else when we do that? Now, we know that we'll fix our communities and we'll go back to helping the world, but everybody else sees, like right now, whoa, what's happening? What are they doing? And that's causing a lot of fear. And so people that you're used to just talking crazy to and they never say anything back, now we're saying something back. And yeah, I get it because foundational Black Americans, we're spicy. We're very spicy on the comebacks. There's literally no chill. There's absolutely no chill. Yeah, scorched earth a little bit on some people's channels, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, you're getting a whole wide variety of responses to the disrespect and for the drawing of the boundaries and saying we're not gonna do that anymore. And the more people push and the more people are like, no, you need to, just the more dug in, we're like, oh yeah, this is absolutely right. So I think that's where the fear is coming from, but maybe, I'm not right. I'm not always right. I think I'm always right, but I'm not always right. So I'd love to hear your comments. What do you guys think? Is it fear? I don't think it's jealousy because they cosplay us anyway, but what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. Be nice, Y'all, like, seriously, y'all are like, I love us though. I'm not gonna lie, I love us. But we do too much. Kind of like that guy at the brawl when he hit that lady with the chair and we're like, you're going to jail. We're going to bail you out, but you're definitely going to jail. Yeah, chill in the comments. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
In my next clip, brother here, he articulates exactly the essence of how Black Americans or foundational Black Americans see themselves and what that means. It reminds me of an Eminem song. Nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish. And Democrats act like they forgot about Obama. Obama created this. A lot of this goes back to Obama. And people like to say, oh, blacklash. White America's mad because, we elected a Black president. Well, first of all, he's the first biracial president. And second of all, you got a point. And I also have a point that Black America is also mad they were elected a biracial president who got in office and didn't do anything specifically for Black Americans. And can you imagine the hope of Black Americans for so many years has been to see somebody get into that office and make some changes that stick for Black Americans after as much shit as we've been through in this country. And we finally get that opportunity. And what happens? We got a bunch of respectability Negroes telling us that we should not ask for anything. And then when the second term comes and he's on his way out the door, no matter what he does, he's on his way out the door. He cannot be reelected. And what does he do? Nothing. Nothing specifically for the people that have been waiting for this for 300 years. We did not forget about it. We did not forget about his African dad. We did not forget about his white mama. We did not forget about his white parents who raised him, his grandparents. We did not forget about the elitism. We did not forget about him calling us Pookie and telling us to pull our pants up and put on soft shoes and to get to work. We did not forget about any of it. We did not forget about the Do Nothing Congressional Black Caucus, who put up a fight for about 2 seconds, and then they decided they wanted access more than they wanted results. Nothing comes out when you move your lips, just a bunch of gibberish, and Democrats act like they forgot about Obama. Yeah. But people like Joy Reid are blaming and saying it's the bots and it's the Russians. Nah, that's niggas with memories. That's all that is. We remember. Do you remember? It's Black America remembers all too well what happened, fam. We got the sham. So that's part of what happened with the delineation. That's why this is a delineation movement. It's not xenophobia, at least not for me. I can't speak for everybody. Yeah, it's going to get toasty and roasty in those comment sections, as my sister pointed out. But that's not what caused it. What caused it was benign neglect. Dr. Clyde Anderson put it out there. In my next clip, to close it out, I got this brother here. He articulates exactly the essence of how Black Americans or foundational Black Americans see themselves and what that means.
I definitely don't consider myself African American. I would just consider myself American. And I haven't personally been to Africa, but my little brother has been to Africa, my mom's been to Africa, and they don't consider us African either.
Like a foundational Black American?
Yeah, I would say so.
Where do foundational Black Americans trace their roots from?
We don't trace our roots. For us, we look at ourselves as a new established thing. So it's the original almost. This is the beginning of a new thing.
We don't civilization.
Yes, a new culture, a new type of people. There's nothing to trace it back to because it's new.
Okay, guys, let me know in the chat. Are foundational Black Americans the beginning of a new civilization? I've been having a lot of interaction with Black Americans, and sometimes we have some, conversations about Black Americans and foundational Black Americans.
Yeah.
Tracing their roots from Africa. Some consider themselves as African Americans. Others don't also consider themselves as African Americans. What is your take on that?
I definitely don't consider myself African American. I would just consider myself American.
Okay.
And I haven't personally been to Africa, but my little brother has been to Africa, my mom's been to Africa, and they don't consider us African either. So there's obviously a divide.
Okay.
So we're obviously not the same in some way or shape or form. So we don't even consider ourselves anything other than American.
Black American fam. So foundational Black Americans, I just love the way you put that there because it pretty much expresses for me how I feel. Some of us were already in this country when the colonizers came to this country. We were indigenous to this land. Others that came here that were brought to this country, that started a new clock, so to speak. That became a new people and we became Black Americans. Once we got our freedom, we became Black Americans. We were freedmen, and then we became Black Americans. And now we're adding foundational only because we are the foundation of America. And we are the foundation. And so it's not a rejection of anything else. It's just that we have been here this long. This is the country that we claim. And we were here, some of us were here before the country was a country. So there you have it. We built this, don't look at question if we built this country. We aided in building this country. Most of us without getting compensated and against our will. And now you don't want us to have any ownership of it. You don't want us to have any, I don't get why you would want that to happen. I don't know, other than maybe you find some agency within us being connected to you. But there is no agency. We benefit not by being connected to you. We're connected to ourselves. And when you consider, particularly that Black Americans have been in this country or have been a part of America pre-Ghana, pre-Nigeria. I mean, those countries weren't even founded into the 60s and the 70s. And you get to ask us, you get to question us about why we consider ourselves to be Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. Man, get out of here, man. I mean, we talking about the 1619 project. You know what I'm saying? Really, Johnson? 1619 project, and we got people that are from a country that wasn't a country until 1967 or whatever, or 76, whatever it was for Nigerians, and you question us about what our our thought process is? I mean, come on, man. What in a pan-African nonsense? What is this? So, you know, it's not about hating anybody. It's just that, you know, respect, you know, we live in a world where people can identify however they want to identify. I'd like to know why it's so important to you that you control or have a say in how we identify ourselves. We got people that are born with a certain anatomy, not telling you that they're a different anatomy. And we got people that want to fight to have them to be able to say that right. And all I'm saying is, okay, fine, have at it. Be yourself. Do what you want to do. Why do we have so many melanated people from around the globe so concerned with how we see ourselves? And those same people will quickly tell us we ain't African. I don't get it. It's like they want us to be tethered to them. And since we refuse that, they mad. Well, stay mad. Stay mad, Johnson. Stay mad. Yeah, stay mad. My father's from D.C., my mom's from New York. And that's what it is. All right, people,
Go figure. Follow me.